A fiery conflict thousands of miles away is sinking ships in the Strait of Hormuz and sending shockwaves straight into the heart of American politics.
Yeah, the sheer velocity of these events colliding is just, it's staggering.
It really is. We need to get you caught up quickly on the absolute chaos unfolding globally and, right here at home.
Right, because the U.S. is now officially in its 6th week of combat in the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly. The Navy actively sank 7 small Iranian boats.
Wow.
Yeah, and they shot down incoming drones just to break a massive shipping blockade.
And at the exact same time, we have 6,000 U.S. troops stationed in Israel on high alert.
Just waiting for the very real possibility of a regional war.
It's incredibly tense.
But the tension is not just happening overseas. Right here at home, a violent incident just shook the capital.
Oh, the shootout.
Yeah. Secret Service officers exchanged gunfire with an armed suspect, identified as Cole Allen. And this happened right near the White House.
It feels like multiple historic crises are just detonating all at once.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how this intense international and domestic turmoil connects directly to you.
Right, because it does.
We are going to explore how overseas combat and domestic shootouts are plummeting presidential approval ratings.
Which is a huge factor right now.
And how that resulting voter anger is completely scrambling the landscape for the 2026 California elections.
The challenge, is really tracing the line from a sunken boat in the Middle East to a ballot box in California.
So let's trace that line by looking at the high cost of the Hormuz conflict.
Right.
President Trump initially predicted this would be a short-term clash.
Right.
He assured the public it would have a minimal economic impact. But the sources show that prediction is totally crumbling.
Well, it's crumbling because the reality on the water is moving in the exact opposite direction.
How so?
Instead of de-escalating, the U.S. military recently started launching new missions to actively guide American merchant ships through the strait.
And Iran is loudly denouncing these escort missions as a direct violation of the ceasefire.
Exactly.
But, frankly, if we are just escorting our own cargo ships through international waters, I don't see how they justify calling that a military provocation.
Well, they justify it through the lens of regional control. The Strait of Hormuz is incredibly narrow.
Right.
So Iran views any sustained American military presence there not as a simple escort service, but as an occupying force right on their doorstep.
Oh, I see.
And when you have that level of military brinkmanship happening in one of the most vital shipping lanes on the planet, the economic shockwaves are instant.
The markets just react.
Yeah, investors panic and oil prices start swinging wildly.
Which hits incredibly close to home for California.
Definitely.
The sources note that the last California-bound oil tanker from that region just offloaded its cargo.
Right, 2 million barrels in Long Beach.
Yeah, 2 million barrels. But future supplies remain totally uncertain.
Which is terrifying for the supply chain.
To me, the Strait of Hormuz feels like a tiny, extremely congested highway toll booth.
Okay, I like that.
It's like a fiery crash happened at that toll booth, but with a twist. The toll booth operators all have defense treaties with different rival cartels.
Right, so fixing the crash isn't just about moving the cars.
Exactly. It's about making sure the cartels don't start a massive turf war over the wreckage.
That's a great way to look at it.
But I still have to push back a little bit on the timeline. If the military initially expected a quick fix to this bottleneck, how did we suddenly end up with 6,000 troops on high alert in Israel?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, military escalation rarely stays confined to its starting point.
It just spreads.
Yeah. When the U.S. Navy engages Iranian forces directly, actually sinking their boats, it instantly activates alliance networks across the entire Middle East.
Domino effect.
Exactly. The military has to prepare for the worst-case scenario, which means putting troops in allied nations like Israel on a total war footing.
Wow.
And that military uncertainty translates directly into economic pain, which, fuels intense voter anger back home.
We are absolutely seeing that anger in the numbers. Growing economic frustration over this specific conflict has driven President Trump's approval ratings to historic lows.
Which is a huge shift.
And that massive dissatisfaction is severely motivating Democratic voters right ahead of the 2026 midterms.
Because motivation is a powerful force. when voters feel the pain every time they fill up their gas tanks.
Yeah, paying those crazy prices at the pump.
Right, and they see chaos on the evening news.
Yeah.
The opposition party naturally gets a massive surge of energy.
But raw energy alone does not win elections.
No, it doesn't. You need a unified direction to channel that energy.
So we have this massive surge of Democratic enthusiasm driven by economic frustration. You would think that would make the California Democratic Party unstoppable right now.
You would think so, yeah.
But ironically, that massive wave of energy is actually tearing the party apart from the inside.
It really is.
They are highly motivated, but the party itself is completely fractured.
Well, they're dealing with a severe structural problem. It's basically too much ambition colliding with a lack of clear leadership at the top.
We watched this structural problem play out in real time at the 2026 California Democratic Party endorsing conference.
Right, the consent calendar drama.
Yeah. To get on the consent calendar, which is basically a VIP fast pass to getting the party's official backing without enduring a messy fight, candidates needed to secure 60% of the delegate vote.
And securing 60% of a highly opinionated delegate pool is a massive hurdle.
It's huge.
It requires genuine, widespread consensus across a lot of different factions.
They actually found that consensus in a few specific down-ballot races, though.
They did, yeah.
Shirley Weber grabbed almost 97% of the vote for Secretary of State.
That is massive.
Malia Cohen took nearly 96% for Controller.
Right.
And Rob Bonta crushed it with over 97% for Attorney General.
Right.
So the party obviously knows how to unite behind certain candidates.
Sure. For incumbent candidates or established figures running in very specialized lanes, the party unifies easily. The delegates recognize steady hands.
But then you look at the top of the ticket, and the whole thing falls apart.
Completely falls apart.
The party officially declared no consensus for a huge number of major offices. They could not pick a candidate for governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, or insurance commissioner.
Which is wild.
It reminds me of a large family trying to order dinner.
Yeah.
Everyone is absolutely starving, but nobody can agree on whether to get pizza or tacos.
I've been at that dinner.
Right. Except in this case, they aren't just arguing over the food, they're arguing over who gets to hold the wallet.
Exactly.
Does failing to pick a candidate mean the party is totally disorganized? Or does it just mean they have way too many good options?
Honestly, it is much more about power vacuums than simple disorganization.
What do you mean?
Well, without a dominant incumbent leader running for those top spots, a power vacuum naturally pulls the party's base in a dozen different directions.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Right. Ambitious politicians see an open lane, and they fiercely compete for the spotlight. The delegates are split because the actual power centers in the state, from tech billionaires to labor unions, are split.
And the most massive power vacuum of all is sitting right in the middle of the governor's race.
Yes, it is.
The main reason everyone is fighting so viciously for that spot is because the biggest player just cleared the board.
Kamala Harris.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris officially ruled out running for California governor.
Which changed everything.
Before she left, she had a massive lead in the polls with 41% support.
She was the heavy favorite.
When she stepped away, it didn't just open a lane. It unleashed total factional warfare.
Her exit fundamentally destabilized the entire state political landscape. Suddenly, all the political capital she was hoarding was just up for grabs.
We can see that scramble in the numbers, but what stands out to me is the massive disconnect between the insiders and the public.
Oh, it's a huge gap.
You look at a recent Capital Weekly poll, and Katie Porter captured 26% support from the public, followed by Cox with 21%.
So Porter is clearly leading the general public polls.
By a healthy margin. But at the actual endorsing conference, Eric Swalwell grabbed the biggest chunk of delegate votes with 24%.
Right.
Biddy T.E. followed him with 17%, and Xavier Becerra took 14%.
That disconnect really highlights the difference between insider networking and public name recognition.
Yeah, it's like two different races.
It is. The delegates voting at the conference are party insiders. You know, they value relationships and long-term party loyalty. The general public responds more to viral moments and broader media presence.
And there are even more heavyweights circling this chaotic race.
Right.
You have Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, who's heavily funded and backed by Nancy Pelosi.
A very strong contender.
You have San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan actively courting tech billionaires in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
You even have a Republican, former Fox News host Steve Hilton, jumping in.
It's crowded.
It feels exactly like removing the queen from a chessboard right before the match starts. Suddenly, all the other pieces scramble for control of the center.
That's a perfect analogy.
But I have to ask, She had 41% support. She was basically a lock. Why would any seasoned politician walk away from a race they're almost guaranteed to win?
Because she is elevating her strategy beyond a state-level game.
Moving to the national stage.
Exactly. Winning the California governorship is a massive achievement, without question. But it also traps you.
Tracks you how?
It ties you down to managing state budgets, local crises, and legislative gridlock for 4 years. You spend your term fighting over local zoning laws and water rights.
So she is avoiding the local gridlock to keep her national image clean.
That is a major part of the calculation. The sources show she is actively traveling the country to promote her new memoir.
Right, 107 days.
Yeah. She is using this massive book tour to meet with high-level national donors. She is helping elect Democrats nationwide. Ultimately, she is actively weighing a 2028 presidential run.
Building the network.
Exactly. She is building a powerful national network, completely unconstrained by the day-to-day grind of a governor's office.
Avoiding the local gridlock makes sense if your eyes are locked on the White House. But the 2028 horizon is incredibly crowded.
Very crowded.
And her national ambitions put her on a direct, high-speed collision course with her longtime political rival,
Governor Gavin Newsom.
Governor Gavin Newsom.
Their shared history makes this potential rivalry one of the most compelling dynamics in modern politics.
They share a very long, deeply intertwined history. Both of them rose through the fierce ranks of San Francisco politics back in the 1990s.
Right, they both came up under the patronage and mentorship of Mayor Willie Brown.
But their relationship today is famously tense. There's a great detail right in her new book.
Oh, the text message.
Yes. Harris notes that when she reached out to Newsom right after Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 race, Newsom didn't even bother to call her back.
He texted her.
He just texted, hiking. We'll call back.
Now, Newsom publicly claims that he simply didn't recognize her phone number at the time.
I have a really hard time believing the governor of California doesn't have the former vice president's phone number saved in his contacts.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how they are behaving right now. Harris is quietly courting donors, traveling, building massive networks behind the scenes.
Right.
Meanwhile, Newsom is loudly attacking President Trump at every single opportunity.
He is everywhere.
Newsom is out there sponsoring Proposition 50, which is essentially a strategic maneuver to shift congressional seats to favor Democrats.
Yep.
And he is using late-night TV with Stephen Colbert to loudly slam his own party's recent election failures.
Very publicly.
They remind me of two sibling athletes who smile for the cameras but fiercely want the exact same gold medal.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's more than that. It's like one sibling is loudly trash-talking the opposing team to hype up the crowd, while the other sibling is quietly in the back room buying the team.
That is painfully accurate. What's fascinating here is how clearly they are defining their drastically different brands. Well, Newsom is aggressively positioning himself as the brawler. He wants voters to see him as the guy willing to jump into the mud and fight the opposition head-on.
Tapping into that anger we discussed.
Exactly. He is intentionally trying to capture the intense anger of that highly motivated voter base. Harris, on the other hand, is playing the role of the seasoned, steady stateswoman.
Above the noise.
Right. She is writing memoirs, guiding the national party, and operating entirely above the fray. They are utilizing completely different playbooks to capture the exact same highly motivated group of voters ahead of 2028.
It is a masterclass in contrasting political positioning.
It really is.
But, Harris might be playing the national backroom game, but she is still trying to throw her weight around locally.
Right, with the endorsement.
She is endorsing candidates in critical state races.
Mm-hmm.
But as we see in the Los Angeles mayoral race, a massive national endorsement cannot always fix deep, localized anger.
No, local politics constantly defies the gravity of national prestige.
Harris formally endorsed the incumbent L.A. Mayor, Karen Bass. She publicly praised Bass for reducing crime and dropping homelessness rates in the city.
Right.
You would think a former vice president's blessing would easily secure a local race. But Bass faces a brutal re-election fight right now.
Very brutal.
She currently leads the polls with just 25%.
Mm-hmm.
And trailing her with 11% is reality TV star Spencer Pratt.
Which is wild.
When a reality star is pulling double digits against a seasoned incumbent, it signals massive voter frustration.
And the most shocking indicator of that frustration is the sheer volume of undecided voters remaining.
Yeah, massive 40% of voters remain totally undecided.
And we are just 2 months before the election.
2 months. That is a massive block of undecided voters this close to Election Day.
It really is.
It's like a movie audience sitting in the theater. The opening credits are already rolling on the screen, and almost half the room is still actively debating whether they want to buy a ticket.
That's a great way to put it.
And the numbers get worse for the mayor. 56% of voters view Basang unfavorably.
Ouch.
The sources point out that this immense anger is largely driven by her response to the deadly 2025 Palisades fire.
The optics on that were terrible.
While that fire was burning and destroying property, she was away attending a cocktail party in Ghana.
Yeah.
So, can a shiny endorsement from a former vice president actually save a local mayor from voters who are deeply angry about a specific deadly local fire?
Honestly, history shows it rarely does.
Really?
Yeah. When a voter loses their home or, spends days breathing in thick smoke from a local wildfire, they generally do not care who the former vice president likes.
That makes sense.
They care entirely about who is managing the fire trucks and keeping their neighborhood safe. National political endorsements bring a lot of media prestige and major fundraising dollars.
Which helps, sure.
It helps, but they rarely outweigh concrete, visceral local grievances. Voters ultimately care most about the crises happening right in their own backyard.
And the Ghana trip.
Right, making a major optical mistake during a local crisis, like attending a party abroad while your city burns, that leaves a permanent mark on a local politician's record.
Which highlights how incredibly interconnected our world is right now.
Everything is tied together.
Think about the massive chain reaction we just discussed.
Let's trace it.
The U.S. Navy shoots at Iranian boats and breaks a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
That military escalation creates global fear, which directly drives up the price of gas you pay at the local pump.
Yep.
That severe economic pain hurts the president's approval ratings at home.
Down to historic lows.
Those historically low ratings heavily fire up the opposition party.
The massive surge of energy.
That surge of energy creates a brutal power scramble in the California state elections.
The fractured party.
Exactly. Pushing political heavyweights like Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom to position themselves for a 2028 presidential run, all while altering the math for a struggling mayor dealing with the fallout of a local fire in Los Angeles.
It's all connected.
The global is undeniably local, and the local is undeniably global.
Every single piece is connected. And this profound local dysfunction we are seeing in Los Angeles is exactly why the 2026 governor's race is existential for California.
Existential?
Yes, because while local politicians are actively arguing over fire truck management and cocktail parties, there is a massive shift happening under the surface.
It's kind of shift.
We talked about California struggling to import oil because of those Middle East blockades.
Right.
At the exact same time, tech startups in the Bay Area are quietly beginning to mass-produce humanoid robots.
Wait, really? Humanoid robots?
Yes. One company alone is aiming to build 10,000 of them this coming year.
That is insane.
California is about to face an unprecedented technological revolution. The California governor of 2026 won't just be managing standard state budgets or fighting local brush fires. No, they will be forced to rapidly transition the state into an independent, AI-driven fortress economy just to survive this level of global instability.
An AI-driven fortress economy.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a massive paradigm shift. It means the stakes for whoever wins that fractured party endorsement are higher than ever. So, the next time you hear about a single fiery crash at a distant toll booth halfway across the world, ask yourself, is your state building the roads necessary to get around it? Or are you just sitting in the traffic?